Welcome to r/RedditRevenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: I set fire to the tires of the a-hole who took my parking space. The second story: boss flirted with my girlfriend and fired me. I'll just steal his Ferrari. The third story: went to dinner with fraternity bros, forgot wallet. One of them demands $20 for bringing the wallet back. The first story is: parking spot stealing D-Waffle gets his Lexus set on fire. While not as nuclear as some stories I've read, proportionate to the crime, I'd say this counts. Set the Wayback Machine to the year 2000. I'm living in a crappy apartment over a storefront, so parking was limited. Now, this was the middle of winter, and I didn't have a car that period in my life, but my girlfriend at the time did. She was coming over in a couple hours, and finding parking on the street is a gamble, so I wanted to dig out a parking spot for her out of the snowbank in the alley behind my building. I didn't own a snow shovel, so using a hammer, old plastic ice cream bucket, and my bare hands, I dug out a chunk about 3 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters to make room for her to park. I don't know if you can appreciate how much snow that is, but it was a lot of work, especially considering my lack of proper equipment. This isn't fresh fallen snow either. This is a snowbank packed by a plow. Practically ice. But whatever, we do crazy things for love, right? But apparently I had too much faith in humanity. I thought the cardboard sign I left in the newly cleared parking spot that said, "I spent an hour and a half digging this out for someone specific, please do not park here," would be enough. Nope, wouldn't be writing this if it had been. Naturally, some thunder sea of a Lexus owner threw the sign in the dumpster and stole a spot. I remember it was red. I was gonna post a link to a pic of a car that resembles it, but A, I see the rules prohibit links, and B, it's kind of irrelevant anyway. I hadn't told my girlfriend about my plan to dig out the parking spot, mostly because I didn't want to look like a wuss if it was too much work and I gave up. So I just stewed on it, imagining all the things I could do. My girlfriend ended up finding a spot on the street a block away, and we had a good evening anyway. She had to work the next day, so she took off around 2 a.m., and I stayed up until maybe around 4 a.m. The car was still there and I was still peeved. By this time, all the bars were closed, the neighbors were asleep, and the streets were quiet. Couldn't ask for a better opportunity to ruin someone's SH. I went outside with a bottle of anhydrous isopropanol I kept around as a solvent, doused the car's tires, and set them on fire. I nabbed the cardboard sign from the dumpster and used it to quickly scrape the snow and cover my tracks, then took it back inside with me. No point leaving evidence behind. Over the course of the next few minutes, I heard bang, kapow, blam, boom. As the tires burst one by one, I had honestly expected the whole car to go up in flames. But each burst was apparently forceful enough to put out each individual tire, as well as blast out a sizable divot in the snowpack. Nothing happened until the next day, but police were eventually called. They were knocking on doors asking if anyone saw something. Nope, sorry, must have slept right through it. Good luck, officer. Hope you catch the guy. I turned on my police scanner to keep tabs on things, mostly out of fear of getting caught, but there were no witnesses, and I learned the owner only had liability insurance. What kind of idiot buys a Lexus but not full of coverage? I would soon find out. When I went outside to survey my handiwork under the guise of taking out the trash and being a curious resident, oh man, yeah, that guy was gonna need to get his whole car resprayed. The car looked fine structurally, but I did probably more than $2,000 worth of cosmetic damage, not to mention needing 4 new tires. I also got a look at the guy who owned the car, and the image I had created in my head of what a person would look like that would so unapologetically steal someone's hard work was completely accurate. He was a grade A first-class board-certified textbook D-bag, orange fake tan, way too much hair product, leather pants, weapons-grade dearie, a decade before Jersey Shore was a thing. I regret nothing. Never saw that car again. Got away scot-free. Edit. Alcohol doesn't burn hot enough, yada yada yada. Well, guess what? Apparently it does, because we had a Lexus with 4 pop tires. I'm not sure if the tires actually caught fire, or if the heat of the flame just caused the pressure to go up to the point that the tires burst. Alls I know is I lit 4 tires on fire with 100% isopropyl alcohol, and 4 tires popped. If someone wants to do the math and figure it out, fine. Edit 2. To address some further comments, it was indeed a small bottle of isopropanol, no larger than 1 liter. It wasn't like I made sure to thoroughly saturate the tires. I was aiming to get in and out without getting caught. It was like blub blub, move on to the next, blub blub, move on to the next, etc. I moved at the time, so I either lit the fires with cardboard matches or a simple cheap A butane lighter. I don't remember which, but those were my main cigarette lighting tools, so it would have been one of those. I probably went with a butane lighter, But again, that's a detail I simply don't recall specifically. Again, I seriously thought the tires would catch fire and the whole car would end up torched. But for whatever reason, the 4 tires popped, and that plus some smoke damage and bubbled paint was the extent of it. Final edit. Yes, this happened. It happened. I was there, I know. But whatever, it's a story from almost 2 decades ago. It's past the statute of limitations for property damage. And frankly, IJDGAF at this point. You're free to disbelieve it and be wrong if you want. Whatever. The next story is... Flirted with my girlfriend and fire me for having proof? Okay, I'll steal your Ferrari. So about 3 years ago, my soon-to-be wife and I were working for an editing company that edited articles for major magazine brands. So my girlfriend is attractive and some people, in particular our boss, wouldn't stop harassing her about it. I confronted him about it and he said, "It's all in good fun, take a joke," and sent me out of his office. My girlfriend told me it was okay because we were making goodish money. So the next day he cuts my girlfriend's work in half and gives it to me. While I'm sitting there typing away and trying to get 20 articles edited and submitted, he's over there hitting on my girlfriend, telling her, "How about we meet after work and talk about a raise you're eligible for?" We all know what he was hinting at. She politely declined. The next couple of weeks were about the same, but he started getting her flowers and talking about he needs someone to share his time with. Then he started texting her, trying to flirt with her, even went to the extent to try and schedule a time for them to have sex. I printed out the screenshots and took them to him and confronted him about it, and he says that it wasn't him, and kicks me out of his office. 2 hours later, my girlfriend gets an email about how she's getting a raise from $19 an hour to $25 an hour. Then I get one saying, "We regret to inform you, but due to your lack of workflow, you are to be terminated immediately, and your holiday bonus is forfeit due to the termination." I am peeved. So I was looking for ways to get back at him. I tried to take him to court, but my case was not compelling enough to take him to court. So I started doing some research, and I found out where he lived. Then I went past his house a couple times, and found out that he parked it on the outside of his house, 30 feet away from a fire line. I told my girlfriend my evil plan. She didn't want me doing it, because it was technically Grand Theft Auto, but I had a plan. I was going to wait for a time where he went out of town for a couple of months, and the county I live in has a policy if a car is impounded for any reason, if payment and pickup isn't within 60 days, they sell the car for the money you owe them and the cost of a new title. So my girlfriend got buddy-buddy with him and found out he was going to Seattle for a 77-day business trip. Kaboom! There's my opportunity. I rented a U-Haul truck and waited until 3:30 a.m. the day after he left, dressed in all black, and put on a Hillary mask. I also spent $90 on little tracks you put your wheels on, so you can push it around. And I bought 4 of them, jacked his Ferrari up, put the tracks under his wheels, and pushed it 36 feet to the fire line and waited. I returned the truck and the tracks. I drove by the next day and found a pink ticket on the windshield. That same day I went to the local impound office and asked about the cars they had backed up. I looked at some beat up cars and I went back a couple of times just so I wasn't suspicious. I wait 58 days, and I went back and effing boom, there it was. They said it was past the deadline, but since the car is priced over $200,000, they have to wait 15 more days. I got busy, and I got there 16 days later, and it was still there. So I did some paperwork. They had to do some insurance paperwork. Then they said my total was $800 for the impound fee, and I had to go get a salvage title since I got it from an automotive yard. I went to get the title and the total on that was $2,100. So I paid that in cash and I took the paperwork back. They gave me a spare key that they had gotten from Ferrari. And boom, my revenge was served. I took it home and waited 3 days later. My girlfriend tells me he's suing his valet guy for doing all this. Poor dude. She quit the next day and we both got jobs at a better editing company. I kept the car in my garage and treated it like my baby. After about 8 months, I sold it because we wanted to buy a house and pay off some college debt. The last story is, you want your $20? Here's your bleeping $20. A few fraternity brothers, their cousins, invited me to one of their friends' birthday dinners. It was a nice place. It had great food. Had a great time. On the ride back, one of them, let's call him Simon, said, "Hey Spartan, did you forget something at the restaurant?" "No, I don't think so." All of a sudden he pulled out my wallet. Apparently I had left my wallet, which was stupid on my part at the restaurant, and thankfully he grabbed it before we headed out. "Oh, thanks man, I really appreciate it." Whoa, I found this wallet. Don't I get a reward or something?" How about a thank you?" "Nope, that ain't gonna cut it." WTF. Now given I screwed up and was grateful that someone did grab it, rather than me forgetting it, call the restaurant before it closed, and then having to drive back on my own time to pick it up. But this is BS. Simon, seriously, I'd like to have my wallet back. It was my old man's. Dad passed a couple years ago due to metastasized pancreatic cancer. I don't give an F. This was a big no-no for me. You can call me names and pull pranks on me, that's fine. I've done it to him too, and we all take it in stride. Was not okay with it when I first joined the fraternity, but when you don't give back something to its rightful owner, especially when they have sentimental value over it, that's a line that shouldn't be crossed. After a debacle of threats, bargaining, etc., he said I had to pay him $20 at a wedding of another fraternity brothers that was coming up in 2 weeks. I got my wallet back, but I was peeved. I thought of ways I could get back to him. Sure, I wanted to beat the living daylights out of him, but that would have been too much. I've never had the opportunity to come up with any revenge scheme, but then it hit me. If he wants his $20, I'll give him his $20. Even if it was messed up, I was a man, and I will meet up to my end of the bargain. So on the drive over, I went into a bank with $20 in my hand. As I got to the teller, I asked for $20 in pennies. The teller gave me a weird look at first. I told him it was for a project for my economics class. He just shrugged and said, "Oh, cool." I had to make some BS story on how I was using pennies in my made-up econ class. Before I got to another bro's house, I stopped by a gas station and asked for a couple of plastic bags. Once I got to his place, I got changed and brought out the box of rolled pennies in the plastic bags. I unrolled each and every one of those mother effers into the bag. By the end of it, there were plastic sleeves everywhere. We go to the wedding, had a great time. All the meanwhile, he's like, "Where's my $20? I'll get it to you. Just have to stop by the ATM, I say. Finally, we get to the reception, eat some good food, and enjoy ourselves. "Hey, Spartan, where's my money?" "Oh, right. Let me get it from my car." He gets back to his table while I go to my car to get the money. When I came back, I dropped it in front of him. It made a huge thud and crash as it hit the table, and then some of it fell over with pennies falling all over the place. At first, he was stunned, and then was all like, "WTF, what is this?" His girlfriend and surrounding brothers were peeved too. Then I explained to them what happened, and why I gave him $20 in pennies. Then they give him the death look, and saying things like, "WTF is the matter with you? Why couldn't you be a decent human being and just give him his wallet back?" etc, etc. Finally, he comes back to me with the bag of pennies and says, "Haha, you got me, Spartan. I was just messing with you. You can have it back." "No, that's fine, you can have it. We made an agreement that I would give you $20. This isn't $20. "Yeah, it is. It's legal tender. You can use it wherever you want." Hands him back the bag and he walks away, shoulders slumped over, possibly due to embarrassment or the weight of the pennies. I smirked when I saw him bringing it back to his car, while his girlfriend was being at him. Some of the bros gave me major kudos for planning this out. While he's not the most hated brother in our chapter, he's been known to be a serious D sometimes. Best $20 I've ever spent. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.